SUVs are supposed to be built tough, big engines, family-friendly, dependable for the long haul. In Britain, most buyers expect to drive them well past 100,000 miles with nothing more than routine MOTs and regular servicing. But here's the ugly truth. Some SUVs don't even make it that far. We're talking engines that seize, gearboxes that collapse, cooling systems that overheat, and it all happens long before the odometer hits 6 figures. And the worst part? These aren't obscure models nobody buys. They're popular SUVs, sold by the thousands here in the UK, that many drivers believed were safe bets. But under 100,000 miles, they turn into financial nightmares that bleed your wallet dry. In this video, I'll count down 7 SUVs that simply don't last. The ones that look solid on the outside, but hide fatal flaws on the inside. And trust me, the one at number 3 is such a disaster. Some engines fail at half that mileage. So before you buy your next SUV, or before you sink more money into the one on your driveway, watch this list. It could save you thousands of pounds and a whole lot of stress. Let's get started. 7. Jeep Cherokee. On paper, the Jeep Cherokee should have been a dependable mid-size SUV, rugged styling, family-friendly space, and a badge tied to off-road heritage. It looks the part. But under the bonnet, the 2.4-litre Tiger Shark engine turned it into one of the most disappointing SUVs you can buy in the UK second-hand market. The biggest flaw? Severe oil consumption. Many owners report losing nearly a litre every 1,000 miles or less. That means constant top-ups just to keep the engine alive. Miss even one, and damage starts fast. Piston rings wear, cylinders score, and before long, the whole engine is at risk of seizing. And it doesn't stop there. Tiger Shark-powered Cherokees are also notorious for head gasket failures, rough idle, and sudden stalls, even at low speeds or while sat in traffic. These aren't one-off cases. They're common issues that leave owners stranded and furious. The financial side is just as grim. A rebuild or replacement engine can set you back £3,500 to £5,000, often more than the vehicle's value by the time it fails. That's why dealers quietly avoid them, and why resale prices are rock bottom. Anyone who knows the Tiger Shark's reputation won't go near one. It's a shame, because the Cherokee had potential, but with such a fragile engine, it's less of a family SUV and more of a financial trap on wheels. But that's nothing compared to a German luxury SUV, worth 3 times as much, that fails just as catastrophically before 100,000 miles. 6. BMW X5. The BMW X5 has always been sold as the ultimate driver's SUV, powerful, luxurious, and engineered to last. On the forecourt, it looks like the perfect mix of German precision and family practicality. But for many UK owners, especially those with the X-Drive 35D diesel, reality hits hard well before the car even reaches 100,000 miles. The Achilles heel? Timing chain failure. On this engine, the chain is tucked away at the rear, against the firewall. That means what should be a routine repair becomes a financial nightmare. When the chain begins to stretch, and it often does, you'll hear rattling on cold starts, slipping under load, and eventually it can snap altogether. The result? Catastrophic engine failure. And because of its location, replacing it requires the entire engine to be pulled out. The bill? Anywhere from £5,000 to £8,000. Many shocked owners discover the repair costs more than the SUV is worth once it's on the used market. And that's not the only issue. The X5's diesel system is infamous for EGR cooler failures and DPF blockages, which can lead to overheating, or worse, engine fires. Add in BMW's maze of electronics, sensors, modules, and control units that love to fail in chains, and you've got an SUV that drains your bank account as fast as it drinks fuel. No surprise then that resale values plummet. A car that cost £60,000 to £70,000 new can sink below £10,000 in the used market once buyers hear about the potential repair bills. Plenty end up dumped at auction, traded in quietly, or written off as uneconomical to repair. So while the X5 may look like the dream SUV, for too many owners, it's the start of a nightmare. Here's where things get even worse. A Japanese SUV, famous for reliability, that starts blowing transmissions well before 100,000 miles. 5. Nissan Pathfinder. The Nissan Pathfinder should have been the perfect family SUV. Big, comfortable, and marketed as a smart alternative to a Toyota Highlander or Honda Pilot. For many families, it looked like a safe and affordable choice. But the reality, it's become notorious for one thing: a transmission that often fails long before 100,000 miles. The culprit is Nissan's continuously variable transmission, CVT. On paper, CVTs promise smooth, fuel-efficient driving. In practice, the Pathfinder's CVT is one of the weakest gearboxes ever fitted to an SUV. Owners across the UK and abroad report the same pattern: whining noises, jerky acceleration, slipping under load, and eventually, total failure. In some cases, the SUV loses power completely mid-drive, dangerous when pulling onto a motorway or overtaking. Failures typically happen between 55,000 and 80,000 miles, far earlier than most drivers expect major repairs. And when it happens, you don't repair the CVT, you replace it. That's a £3,000 to £4,500 bill. Even worse, many who replaced theirs ended up with the exact same issue again, because the new unit shared the same weak design. To make matters worse, the cooling system linked to the gearbox was poorly designed, causing overheating that shortened the CVT's life even further. Nissan extended warranties in some markets, but plenty of UK owners were left stranded and footing the bill when their transmission failed just outside coverage. The used market reflects this. Pathfinders look cheap at first glance, but mechanics know exactly why. They're ticking time bombs. Once, the Pathfinder badge meant dependability and adventure. Today, it's a red flag on the used SUV market. The real shock comes with a British luxury SUV that sells on style and prestige, but can't even keep its gearbox alive past 60,000 miles. Number 4. Range Rover Evoque. The Range Rover Evoque was designed to be the stylish entry point into the Land Rover family. Sleek looks, a luxury badge, and the prestige of Range Rover ownership without the bulk of a full-sized SUV. It quickly became a bestseller across the UK, with thousands lining up for that designer SUV image. But beneath the glamour, the Evoque is one of the least reliable SUVs you can buy under 100,000 miles. At the heart of the problem is the 2.0 C4 petrol engine. It's notorious for overheating and cooling system failures. Owners report sudden spikes in temperature with almost no warning, leading to warped cylinder heads or, in the worst cases, a total engine seizure. And when that happens, you're not repairing the Evoque, you're replacing the engine. Expect a bill of £6,000 to £9,000, often more than the car's used value. The transmission is another Achilles heel. Instead of smooth, refined shifts, many owners complain of violent jerks, slipping gears, or hesitation when pulling away from junctions. Add to this a flood of electrical gremlins, frozen infotainment screens, random warning lights, failing parking sensors, and the Evoque quickly turns from luxury dream to mechanical nightmare. The financial impact is brutal. Countless UK owners have spent thousands on transmission repairs, only to face engine or cooling failures shortly after. And thanks to its reputation, depreciation is savage. A car that cost over £40,000 new can now be found for well under £15,000, and even at that price, many buyers walk away once they research the reliability. The cruel irony? The Evoque sells the dream of prestige, but delivers the reality of a money pit. For many UK families, it's less of a Range Rover and more of a brake rover. But the story doesn't end there, because an American family SUV manages to burn through engines like a two-stroke motorbike. 3. Ford Explorer. The Ford Explorer has long been one of America's most popular family SUVs, big, practical, and marketed as the ultimate road trip companion. And in recent years, Ford has pushed it into the UK as a plug-in hybrid flagship. On the surface, it looks like the perfect family hauler. But the reality? Too many Explorers struggle to make it to 100,000 miles without major failures. The biggest culprit? The transmission. Owners across the US and UK report violent shifting, slipping gears, hesitation when accelerating, and sudden breakdowns. And these aren't high-mileage issues. Many happen as early as 40,000 to 60,000 miles, when most families still expect their SUV to feel practically new. A replacement gearbox will set you back £4,500 to £6,000, often more than the vehicle is worth by that stage. But the problems don't end there. The engines, especially the 2.3-litre EcoBoost and 3.0-litre V6, are plagued with coolant leaks into the cylinders, overheating and premature head gasket failures. Once this happens, you're staring down the barrel of a £7,000 to £9,000 engine replacement. Add in the electrical faults, frozen infotainment screens, malfunctioning sensors, reversing cameras cutting out, and the Explorer quickly becomes less of a family car and more of a money pit. Depreciation only makes things worse. Used Explorers may look like bargains, but the moment the gearbox slips or the engine starts overheating, that cheap SUV becomes a driveway ornament worth less than the repair bill. The sad truth? Behind its familiar Ford badge, the Explorer too often dies young, leaving families with huge bills and a sour taste for the brand. As bad as that sounds, it's nothing next to an EV that was hyped as Britain's Tesla killer, but instead left owners with dead batteries and empty wallets. Number 2. Jaguar I-PACE. When Jaguar launched the I-PACE, it was hailed as a revolution. Sleek design, futuristic interior, and a British badge going head-to-head with Tesla. For a brief moment, it looked like the UK had built the ultimate electric SUV. In reality, it's become one of the costliest mistakes you can buy used. The Achilles heel is the battery. In an EV, the pack is everything, and in the I-PACE, it fails too often. Owners across the UK report rapid range loss, charging problems, and full battery failures well before 100,000 miles. Replacing it? £18,000 to £25,000, often more than the car's market value. And the issues don't end there. Charging glitches, overheating, and sudden shutdowns leave drivers stranded. Some owners describe pulling away from a motorway charger only for the car to refuse to restart. For a luxury EV, that's unacceptable. Then comes depreciation. While Teslas often hold value, the I-PACE collapses, losing 60% in just 3 years. Dealers can't move them, and used models sit unsold for months. Jaguar intended the I-PACE to be its statement of innovation. Instead, it's a warning. Premium badges don't protect you from poor reliability. A used one might tempt you at £25,000, but one battery failure could double that cost overnight. And if you think this is bad, wait until you see our number 1 SUV, so common in UK driveways, yet hiding an engine flaw that has bankrupted thousands of families. Number 1. Land Rover Discovery Sport. Here it is, the SUV that takes the top spot, and for thousands of UK families, this one cuts deep. The Discovery Sport was sold as the perfect mix of practicality, prestige, and British class. But beneath the smart styling lies one of the worst reliability records in the segment. The main culprit? The Ingenium petrol and diesel engines. They've become infamous for oil dilution, stretched timing chains, failing turbos, and, in many cases, total engine seizure, sometimes well before 80,000 miles. One day it runs fine, the next it loses power, floods the dash with warning lights, and within days needs a complete engine replacement. That replacement? £7,000 to £10,000, often more than the car is worth used. And it doesn't stop there. Owners report electrical chaos, frozen infotainment, cameras cutting out, sensors failing, gear selectors refusing to engage. Add gearbox issues to the mix, and you've got an SUV that strands families as often as it saves them. Depreciation adds insult to injury. From over £40,000 new, many now trade below £15,000. Sounds like a bargain, until you learn why. Dealers struggle to sell them, mechanics warn against them, and forums overflow with regretful owners. The harsh truth? Land Rover sells the dream of luxury adventure, but the Discovery Sport too often delivers breakdowns, recovery trucks, and ruinous repair bills. No wonder it's our number 1 SUV most likely to die before 100,000 miles. So there you have it. 7 SUVs that look like safe bets, but too often die before hitting 100,000 miles. From dodgy engines to collapsing gearboxes, these cars prove one thing: a shiny badge doesn't guarantee reliability. The question is, have you been burned? Did you own one of these SUVs? Or do you know someone who poured thousands into repairs before hitting 6 figures on the odometer? Drop your story in the comments below. I read everyone, and your experience might save another driver from making a very expensive mistake.